Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Educational Gamer and we are playing Strategic Command in our session as the Allies against the Axis. So let's take the turn and see what the Axis are going to do in mid-November, I guess. In particular, whether the Japanese are going to attack the Axis. Sorry, whether Japan is going to launch an attack on the US. Congressional isolates call on the US Navy to return to the Pan-American zone. Okay, so we have left that a little bit. I'm hopeful that that doesn't mean we are losing Cumberland hit by rough seas. Okay, aerial warfare level 1, logistics level 3. That is also very good, and production level technology 3. That is what we've been waiting for a very long time, as the US, and command and control is very good for the Soviet Union, as is infantry weapons for China. So here we go. All in all, our supply situation seems to be fine. We are getting quite a lot as the Soviet Union now, which I very, very much appreciate. We have spotted some German submarines, and they will be pestering us. But mostly I'm concerned, as always, about the Eastern Front. Although I'm hoping that by mid-November over here, or late November even, things should start to look a little bit worse for them in terms of the weather. So the submarine has withdrawn to the north, even though it can move very far. This one will probably remove itself as well. Japanese are reinforcing their positions, which is not a big surprise. But I do think that very soon we will be closing in on Korea over there. Ooh, another battle cruiser up here, and there's the Tirpitz, the German battleship. German destroyers down there, and some German submarines now probably in the North Sea. Maybe the German battleship is gonna be centered around here. We'll have to see about that. There we go. Germans are bombing some of our positions, and it looks like they do want to start an attack up here so that they can cut off Brest-Litovsk. Some heavy losses over there, but not lost a unit yet. Yet, I say. We are losing units as the Soviet Union quite often. Some attacks down here. By the way, do let me know whether you prefer... Ooh, our special forces are being badly mauled over there. Further attacks on Brest-Litovsk. Let me know whether you prefer the overview like such, or whether you'd like it a little bit more zoomed in. German attacks over here. They are flanking. I'm guessing the armor will attack as well. Addis Abeba still proving very resilient against our attacks. Kaunas will probably fall. We'll lose that army because now they'll be moving in something else. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, lost an army over there. That's no good. Yeah, they are reinforcing their positions elsewhere. Pity. I really would have hoped that we would not lose that army. Also, would have liked that our fighters would do a little bit of a better job at defending against the enemy air. That's so rainy over here. You wouldn't think that they are capable of launching many attacks with the tactical bombers, and yet they did. Our position now over here is also isolated, which is another army. Not sure whether the battleship is over here. Japanese morale is reduced. Yes. We are too far out with our US Army, Navy. Marines mobilized at Pearl Harbor. Okay, that's nice to know. You get quite a bit of a fleet apparently, and the US joins the Allies. Panama joins the Allies. How about Venezuela? Dominican Republic. US industry mobilizes for war. Sweden convoys are geared up, so that's nice to see. Also, I think we don't need to take care of the sea routes anymore. So here we go. It is our turn now. Access time starts to be a little bit lower. 4th Army destroyed. That is of course very burdensome. There are some amphibious transports over there. Garrison is kind of pointless. More amphibious transports. Tank divisions. And we do get a couple of new units. So I think this might actually be the first turn where we are getting more new units than the enemy did. Right, let's look at the situation first in the south down here. Not much has happened. There weren't that many attacks. We are capable of doing some damage, especially on the German allies over here. I would also like to venture ahead a little bit over here and take a potshot at these fighters. That certainly seems to be very attractive to me. Down here, so firstly I think it's very clear that we need to move this corps closer in to threaten these tanks. We can do some flights over here, but they are not that useful. So we could attack these tanks. Oh, the special forces definitely need to be reinforced. Everything else though is fine. And I kind of do expect that they would want to threaten these guys again, so would it make sense to move these guys up? Let's bring in this corps over here, closer. So do we want to advance, risk that attack? We do have this cavalry division which might be able to do some attack up here. Yeah, you know what? I do want to risk it. So let's bring these guys up. It's single attack. Okay. Not too useful. We did lose a bit of entrenchment for that. Nevertheless, I'm kind of happy about that. Could bring up our tanks. But there's no really good reason to do that. Oh, we have finished our fortifications over here. So our line would probably extend like that and then around over here. So what I'm guessing is that these engineers would ideally be placed over here. No, actually more over here. Dnieper. Let's look at this without enemy units for a second. So yeah, this line will probably be the one that would form our next defensive line. So yeah, let's bring you up over here, and then we can ask you to fortify, set mode, fortify, and rotate that like such. And you should be done with that fairly quickly. And now we do have another fairly good entrenchment position over here. So, do we want to bring these tanks up against these tanks down here? Could pull off our mechanized forces from there. Do have some tactical bombers, but they can't reach anything. We also have these light cruisers. Yeah, but we can't reach these tanks. It's too bottled up over there. The hex simply doesn't reach that far. So yeah, let's just do the damage as we can. And then these tactical bombers will come down here. Come on. You will come down here. We do have two groups of fighters over here already, so let's bring one back, one over there. You'll be coming up over here, so you can cover the north. That should be fine. So yeah, the tanks. Could move them up even over here. I think all of these attacks down here don't really make that much sense. We are mostly losing units, but over here we could do some damage. So let's do that. Let's attack with the army and with his corps. And that's fine, and then bring in the tanks and come back. Probably won't be able to come back. And there are quite a lot of units over here. I'm slightly concerned about that. Could strafe you. Could even fight these fighters. Ooh, they do have better fighters now than we do. I'm still tempted to kick them back over here and maybe drive through Odessa again. But yeah, for now that doesn't really seem a possibility, so... We've attacked with these guys. You haven't attacked. You could attack, but why? It's light tanks. Yeah. No, there's no point doing this. Let's move up towards the back over there, and then we can move up to the northern front over here, which all in all seems to be doing fine. A couple of trades possible. Let's do a counterattack here on Kaunas, which I do hope that we could capture. Can we do a bombing run or anything like that? No, we cannot. You have these heavy tanks. This army. Let's attack with the army. Do some damage. Move in with these guys. And that's fine. I think you can now try to defend over here. No point doing that attack on Vilnius. You are fine. You should be reinforced. So we should try to get a little bit more of a foothold down here. Attack maybe some of these forces. Can we reconnect over here is the question. Doesn't necessarily look likely. Especially if we want to reinforce these guys. These paratroopers are so tough to break. So we could move these guys away, of course. They are not entrenched. They do have some strength. The cavalry division is fine. Oh, we can actually launch a raid against the fighters over there. How good are you against bombers or fighters? A bit. Okay. I'm tempted to do this. Although still I would much rather like to attack over here. Are you dug in? You are dug in, so that's not something that we should easily give up on. The AA battery can move down a little bit, so it's covering more of the front. We might simply reinforce all of these guys, but then again, what do we have in terms of new units? Well, quite a little bit as well. Although they should be brought in sparingly. And again, is there any chance that we are kicking these guys out? I mean, we only have this army, basically. Well, maybe this corps. And we need to bring in our armies very fresh. So... Still, they're such heroes in holding out over here. But do we take the time and just use them as a little bit of a breather? Oh, you are very, very much out of readiness as well. Could also try to break out in case we destroy some of these units. Yeah, but these tanks are so good. So yeah, I don't think that's necessarily something that is going to be too useful for us. Let's try to bring you over here so that we can provide a little bit more cover against these guys. Okay, you need to stop supporting these guys. Are you actually set to mode auto assist? No. Okay, you need to detach these garrisons. You have these guys, you have these guys, so not this core. And you are more or less fine then. Let's attach to these bombers. I think that's better still. Oh, we can do an attack over here. It's not necessarily the best, but it's still an attack. And would reduce their ability to fight us off. Still I'm not convinced. Let's simply reinforce these guys. And sort of hope for the best over there. Then over here we can do a raid on these fighters. Which didn't do what we expected, but still I think it's fine. Move back the unit over there. And you start to garrison Minsk. I think that should be fine. And then in terms of new units, what we have is first shock heavy tanks, which we will be placing down here in Minsk. Let's place them over here. And the 43rd Army, which I also think we should be placing over here. And some paratroopers, which we will be placing over here. Or over there. Is there any drop that we would like to make? There's nothing where we can cut anything off, but we might be able to reinforce these guys at some point. And we can't upgrade these guys at all, which is a pity. But yeah, other than that, the Soviets over here seem to be actually fine. No point in attacking over here. Some point to be made about attacking over here. This army would certainly reduce their ability to fight in the north. But yeah, let's keep things a little bit simpler for now. Move down there. I think that's a good distribution of forces. And then you'll be moving into Kiev. And that is fine. Good. We don't have any other troops for the Soviets. Except for these guys up here. And these destroyers. No German submarines though, so that's fine. So yeah, we have a significant amount of troops left as the USSR, so let's firstly operate these guys from over here for 25 points, which is fairly cheap, towards the front. So we have another corps over here, which I think we should be placing over here, so that we can throw these guys back a little bit nicer. On the other hand, just there's so much pressure on these guys up there. Let's put you over here because ultimately I would like to free up these more mobile troops, and that should be alright. And then we do have a last unit over here from Vladivostok, which I guess we can also operate towards the front over here. Any particular place? Well, again, I think down here the south is what needs the most love. Although it might make sense to pull off one of these armies and move it a little bit further towards the south, so I think that's fine. And you need to be upgraded anyway. Good, so that does leave us with buying new units as the Soviets, and I do think there are some that we should buy. In particular, so tanks, nope, all of that is fine. Heavy tanks is fine. Armored train, I like that one. It was fun to use it. Let's rebuy that one. Cavalry corps, we could replace one. I'm not too convinced that that is useful though. And in terms of an army, we could buy one, but we couldn't upgrade it. Could we buy an upgraded corps? Yeah, we could. So let's do that. Here we go. That should be spending most of the points that we had as the Soviet Union. Let's reinforce these bombers because we might as well, and that spends all of the points for the USSR. Some raids over here I don't think are required, so I think we should be fine as is for the Soviets. Let's have a brief look at the reports and at the graphs over here. So what I would like to compare is the national morale. For the Germans it's at 110, for the Soviets at around 90, even less. That's too bad. But we are seeing that we are losing less and less units. We are still losing more units than we are replacing, but slowly but surely I think the trend here is looking good. Overall here the trend is a little bit more stable, so that might also be a little bit the result of winter. We should also have a look at the national morale of the Japanese, which is sitting at 39%, so that is extremely low. I think they pretty much should collapse very soon, I'm guessing. Especially now that Indochina has been freed again. Good. Okay, so as usual, next time we will be looking at the UK disposition, and I think we are moving closer to a point where we can put one turn towards one episode again. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in a second. Bye bye.